Hey everybody, Batmerk here. Today I'm going to be reviewing, I believe it's 2010's The Wolfman. It's the remake by Joe Johnston, starring Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. This is it right here. This is the director's cut, and it's also the DVD theatrical version. Yeah, I'm on just kind of like a werewolf kick right now, and they're really cool. I like werewolves a lot. They're probably my favorite like style of monster. If you're talking like you know classic horror monsters or just monsters in general. I like werewolves, and I like the Wolfman type characters. Right off the bat, this movie I think it's really cool. It's pretty much like almost like a direct remake to the 1930s or 40s one starring Lon Chaney Jr. It's funny too because in this movie, Benicio del Toro plays the same character of Lawrence Talbot, and I think he actually looks like the same actor, Lon Chaney Jr. I think Benicio del Toro he actually looks like him. This will have some spoilers in it, and we could just get into the movie. Basically, it starts out as this guy gets he's walking through the woods and he's going up on through a graveyard, and basically this Wolfman type monster comes up and just slices him up, and takes him out, and then we jump to like this theater, and it's Benicio del Toro's character Lawrence Talbot, and he's an actor. He's doing a stage show. I don't know if he's doing some type of Shakespeare or something like that. And he's going on tour, and his sister-in-law comes and sees the show, and she tells him that her husband, his brother, has been murdered. So she wants him to come back home to their hometown in England. I think it's Blackmore or something like that, to see her husband or his brother. So he doesn't really want to go, but she pretty much convinces him to go. And on the way there, he actually runs into the actor Max von Sydow. He's a popular actor. He's the priest from The Exorcist. He's in a lot of movies. He pops up every now and then. He talks to him actually about werewolves, and he's got a cane and he's with a werewolf head on it. And he said he got it in Gévaudan, and that's like a region in France where there was actually werewolf murders back like a couple hundred years ago. And they actually did a whole movie about it called The Brotherhood of the Wolf. I'll do a review on that one day too. It's a pretty fun movie to watch. Anyway, so yeah, Benicio goes back to his town, and he runs into his dad, and his dad's kind of really cold with him, and he was just like kind of a bad father, and he's there, and he's basically looking to see his brother. He sees his brother, and they show him, and they got him like in a, I don't know, like in like an ice like house, and he's just cold, and he just all like ripped up and looks pretty gory. It's pretty crazy. He visits some of the locals, and the locals talk about his mom being like a gypsy lady, and the whole family's cursed, and he's like almost gets into a fight with the people in the tavern, and he goes back home and talks to his dad and has dinner with his sister-in-law, and the dad's just kind of weird. Anthony Hopkins is a senior Talbot. I forgot what his first name is, but he just chews the scenery and he steals the show. Like every time he's on the camera, yeah, and pretty much the movie goes on, and Benicio ends up doing some investigation, and he checks out the gypsies that are traveling. And when he's there, this werewolf comes in and just tears through the town, just tears through the whole like caravan of gypsies, and it's just gory. Like he takes out a cop and like I don't know, just like rips a bunch of people up and grips the cop and rips his jaw off, and it's just crazy. And he's running around, and basically, Lawrence goes after the werewolf, and he kind of follows him to this Stonehenge type place, and it's really foggy and atmospheric, and it looks really cool. And the werewolf comes down and bites him, and later on in the movie, it kind of jumps forward, and he gets bit, and then his sister-in-law, played by Emily Blunt, like nurses him back, and he starts to heal up, and he the doctor comes like, oh, it's a standard, oh, you've been healed, and I didn't think you were gonna heal that quick, you should be dead, that type of jargon. And his basically he has flashbacks of his brother and him when they were like kids, and how like I guess he discovered his dad like found his mom dead or something like that, which is kind of weird. But yeah, he basically spoilers ahead. He figures out that like he's a werewolf, and his dad's like got a shrine of his mom and in like the basement of their like mansion. And um yeah, basically like the dad, he locks him in there. And uh Lawrence becomes a werewolf and runs around the town and looks for like these like werewolf hunters in the town and just like rips them up and tears them apart. It's crazy. And then they find him the next day. And the dad, Anthony Hopkins, he just sells him out basically and tells him, oh yeah, you guys are right, my son is crazy. And so they take him to this mental institution in London. And they do all these water torture tests on him and stuff like that. And then his dad comes back, and then you figure out the dad is actually the werewolf. I mean, it was kind of obvious from the get-go, but it doesn't really matter. It's cool because, it's just cool. It's just fun to watch, And just the banter and the dialogue between Benicio and Anthony Hopkins is like some of the funnest stuff in the movie, And he's telling him like, I used to be a prize fighter in New York and San Francisco, son. I thought I never told you that, You just talking to him, and just the way you do trust me, son. I know you do trust me. He tells him stuff like that. I do love you, boy. I do love you. I mean, just the way Anthony Hopkins talks, and sometimes he'll just stare at people and like they'll be like, "Is everything okay?" And he's just sitting there like talking to Emily Blunt like on the stairwell, and he's chewing up an apple, and he's just sitting there, doesn't say a word to her. He's just crazy. But yeah, so they do tests on him, and then they put him in this room with like a bunch of like scientists, and they're all having a big like discussion about about how Lawrence thinks he's a werewolf. And then eventually Lawrence like tells everybody, "I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna kill all of you," and they're laughing at him like, "Oh, you're gonna kill me? Oh, I'm gonna fly out this window. You're gonna kill me." And then he rips out of there, and he turns into a werewolf, and the effects in there look really cool. Ends up taking all those guys out, and he starts running around, and then boom, it's weird because it's like an American Werewolf in London, straight up, like running around in like 1800s. He gets out of there. He eventually like goes back home, and long story short, he faces up with his dad, and he has he throws down with his dad, and there's a big werewolf fight. And there's this detective in there that's played by Hugo Weaving. He's this guy named Francis Aberline, and he was actually the detective that was on the case for Jack the Ripper. So they had some historical characters in this movie. It was pretty cool. And yeah, I don't want to spoil like what happens at the very, very end. I'll let you guys watch some of it. But what I did like a lot about this movie was the all-star cast. You have Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, Hugo Weaving, Emily Blunt. They're all really good in their roles. I love the classic nods to the original movie. I love the gore. Like, this movie is straight up just, has a gang of gore in it. The set design's cool. The makeup is awesome by Rick Baker. He even does a special appearance in the movie. Benicio del Toro was like executive producer. This movie went through hell when they tried to make it. The original director dropped out. And then Joe Johnston, the guy that did The Rocketeer and the first Captain America, the first Avenger movie, he stepped in and directed this, and I thought he did a great job. Yeah, it's cool. Like, you see the Wolfman starts running on all fours too, so he's running across the rooftops, kind of like the Crow in London. It's a really cool scene. And he just goes on like a rampage, killing all these people. It's a gore fest, like it's crazy. And at the very end of the movie, there's like a badass werewolf fight with Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro. It's like a comic book movie. It's like everything. Like, there's so much stuff in this movie that I didn't even want, and it would have been cool the way it was. But they added like the werewolf fights, the gothic architecture, the cinematography, the music's good, the acting's good. I don't know. A lot of people don't like this movie, but I think people need to go back and rewatch it. It's a sick movie. But yeah, it's a great movie. I also got this beer right here, talking about English stuff. It's a Boddington Pub Ale. One of my friends recommended me, so I'll go ahead and give a little tug at this. So you're supposed to pour it in a glass, but I'm not going to do all that jazz. Let's sit there for a sec. That's it right there. Yeah, you're supposed to pour it in a glass. Let it sit for a while, but let's give it a tug. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. It's alright. Not too crazy. This picture right here, a little bit of fan art I drew for the movie. I wanted to draw Lawrence Talbot, just do a couple inks, But yeah, definitely the Wolfman. You should check it out. Right here, this is it. Check out the original one too. But if not, I like this one a lot more. I mean, I watched the old ones back in the day when I was a kid, but I freaking love this movie. So yeah, definitely give the Wolfman. Definitely the Wolfman, and this Boddington Pub Ale is pretty good for a cheap, little English beer. It's not bad. It's only like $2 for that. Both of them I give 2 horns up. As always, folks, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. We got daily content here on metal, movies, and brewskis.